I've been interning at Church Automotive Testing for the last 2 months, learning from one of the absolute best in the industry, Shawn Church. Now, Shawn has recently decided to hand me the laptop to make some changes of my very own to this 2018 Forester XT here, in which I have quickly come to realize that dyno tuning is a lot more than copying and pasting values. Now, I have seen a few other videos here on YouTube that have covered Subaru tuning, and in my opinion, they are not very good videos. I think they tend to use terminology that would confuse the average car enthusiast, especially at the technical level. And well, a lot of those videos are also coming from people with little to no technical backgrounds. With that being said though, if you're ever interested in dyno tuning, wanted to learn more about tuning itself, and you want to hear the perspective of a beginner, then this is going to be the video for you. Now, before we go any further, I think it's important to discuss my background and or credentials. I hold a Bachelor's of Science in Physics, and I'm currently an MS candidate in the physics program at San Diego State University. Now, in my opinion, I do not believe you need to hold a 4-year formal degree in STEM to become a tuner, but damn, does it really help, in my opinion. Tuning is very interesting. It requires a certain way of thinking, especially when you look and interpret data sets. Tuning is a science like any other science. It incorporates math, engineering, and data analysis. It's where you can make a change in one variable and see a direct relationship and or output in another. To give you this example, I'm going to walk over to my whiteboard here and show you guys the simplest example that I can show you, which is going to be the linear expression, which it might be hard to see because of the glare, I'm sorry, but it's going to be the linear expression y equals x. Linear describing the rate of change here. I'm going to have an input, which is going to be my x, my independent variable, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to plug that into my equation, and I'm going to get a direct output relating the independent and dependent variables. Then I'm going to shake this fly off and show you guys that I have a representation of my data set here on this graph, and I'm going to see an expression, or rather visualization, of said data. And that's exactly what we're doing when we are dyno tuning. We are making changes to a variable, or rather sets of variables, and we're making a pass in the dyno, and we're seeing how those changes directly affected the car and seeing what its output is. And hopefully that output in most cases is making more power. Now, that's a very oversimplified version of what dyno tuning is. Dyno tuning in reality is a lot more robust than that. If you want to learn more about dynamometers and dyno tuning, you can make sure to check out the last video we posted here on YouTube with Shawn Church, talking about the different types of dynos, their purposes, and everything like that. Now, I've given you guys a lot of background. Let's talk about tuning itself with the Forester XT here. Now, with the Forester, we are currently using the Cobb access port. If you have been around Subaru, you know what one of these guys are. Cobb access ports are honestly one of my favorite software to tune Subarus. They just make it easy. With the access port, we are utilizing Cobb Access Tuner, which is the software that's actually needed to make set changes for the access port. Shawn is nice enough to let me have the reins on that when I'm up at the shop. Now, the goal with this car is to make more power, of course, to optimize it. We're eventually going to be putting it on E85. However, the ultimate goal for this car and for myself with this car is to just get the fundamentals of tuning down. Now, when we started out with the Cobb access port, when we bought it, we flashed it onto the car and we put the stage 0 map on. That is going to be the factory calibration. And we noticed 3 things that honestly just stuck from the factory. Number 1, the fuel trims were just all over the place. Now, fuel trims at idle specifically should be within plus or minus 5%, and they were greater than 10%. Now, as far as the access port goes and looking at monitors for fuel trims themselves, you have 2 values. You have AF1 correction and you have AF1 learning. You can think of the correction as your short-term fuel trim and your learning factor as your long-term fuel trim. Shout out to Ryan, who has taught me that, Ryan Miller. Thank you so much, you're a real one. But that often confused me for a very long time, and as someone that has driven these cars for the last couple of years, I still didn't know that up until the last 6 months, and that finally made it click. And what really made it click was looking at the HP Tuner software, which is the software we utilize for GM cars, and that's just how they essentially do AF1 correction and AF1 learning. So you can think of, again, correction as your short term and your learning as your long term. The second problem we realized with the factory calibration was that the dam was incredibly low. Now, DAM is your dynamic advance multiplier. I think the lowest value we saw from the factory calibration was 0.500, and the highest value it learned up to was a max of 0.750. Now, DAM, like I said, is the dynamic advance multiplier, but let's talk about what DAM is. You can think of DAM as how confident your Subaru feels with its current ignition timing values. Now, I made fun of people at the beginning of the video talking about, technical jargon. So what is ignition timing? You can think of ignition timing as the perfect moment for the spark to go off in order to ignite said fuel in the chamber. That is a very simplified version of how ignition timing works. You can also think of ignition timing like a quarterback snapping the ball, grabbing the ball, and deciding at the perfect moment when to throw the ball to the receiver in order to make the play. Now, DAM is really interesting because DAM takes into account two things. You can set your DAM and you can have it learn up. And the other big thing about DAM, if you guys don't know, is that DAM is a historical representation of knock values that have occurred in the past. So that will also influence your DAM. And the third thing we noticed was that we were seeing incredibly high feedback knock and fine knock learn values on the access port looking at this car itself. Now, the factory calibration, like I said, is not very good, and I think we saw, or at least I saw rather, as high as 6 degrees of ignition timing being corrected, which is indicated by a negative value on the Cobb access port. So the FA motors are incredibly sensitive, and that just has to do perhaps with the architecture of the motor itself compared to the EJ, and perhaps some other things that we'll talk about in another video. But we saw knock in two places specifically. It was always happening right as the turbo started to spool around 2,500 RPMs, and the second place was especially on the higher side of the RPM range, about 5,500 to 5,700 for whatever reason. Now, when we started out tuning the car, we did not put this car on the dyno to start with. We started out by doing a lot of road testing, which, look, it has its advantages and disadvantages. I personally think there is an argument for both. Just remember, the road is not the dyno and the dyno is not the road. But we started out road testing the car, and at some point what was really cool was Shawn was busy with the customer car or something, I'm sure, and I took the laptop myself, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna take the car, or the laptop and the car myself. I'm gonna make a change to my boost target and see, if it'll make any more. I think the factory calibration for this calls for 17 pounds at the most, and I made a change to 18 pounds. Left the wastegate duty cycles, which again, don't wanna talk about that too much, but I made a change in boost targets, and I made a pull, and guess what? I commanded 18 pounds and I saw 18 pounds, and that was extremely gratifying to see, making a change and seeing an immediate effect. That was super, super cool. Now, tuning has been an awesome experience. I'm gonna keep going at it, especially next week. The semester's over, so I'm gonna go all in on it. Now, if things keep going the way they're going, I hopefully am going to be able to at least do a little bit of tuning myself by the end of the summer. I know it's a very high aspiration, but look, I've been writing my own base maps for my 2017 STI with the help of Shawn, of course, and a few other customer cars, collaborating with Shawn, and it's been a great learning experience. And look, guys, if you need a base map for your Subaru or are interested in our e-tuning, make sure to check out the website pinned down below in the description. Now, unfortunately, as fun as it's been learning how to tune, tuning and learning how to tune on this vehicle is going to have to take a quick pause for a second. Not only is the semester about to be over, but honestly, I have not told you guys, and I'd like to do some content on this car. This car is gonna have to go into a little bit of an overhaul stage. It's got 120,000 miles, and there are certain maintenance items we need to take care of. And if there's one thing that I have learned in my short time at Church Automotive Testing, is the fact that ideally you want to minimize as many variables as possible. So we're gonna be doing some preventative maintenance here. This thing needs an oil change, it needs its spark plugs done. It honestly needs a new stretch belt and a couple other accessories in the front, perhaps replace some of the pulleys. And we're also experiencing some weird issues with the AC compressor for whatever reason. And of course, right, the timing of that couldn't have been more perfect as summer is coming and it's getting incredibly hot. And look, guys, I'm all about making sure my cars run as optimally as possible, and I care a lot about my vehicles. I mean, look at the love and dedication and the time and energy I put into the STI. And while this isn't my weekend car, my fun car, I still respect it and I still love it. So if you guys are interested in seeing any of the maintenance items or learning how to do simple maintenance, especially on a stock vehicle, which is a lot more relatable, make sure to subscribe because you won't want to miss that. And look guys, we are just starting to scratch the surface with dyno tuning and this car specifically. I'm talking E85 hopefully this summer, and doing a lot more technical breakdowns on certain topics that you guys want to see. So whatever you guys want to see in depth for Subarus, LS, perhaps even other platforms, make sure to leave a comment down below in the description. We're going to keep doing a lot more collaborative formats with Shawn Church. I'm telling you guys, once this semester is over next week, I'm going to have a lot more free time, a lot more content is going to be dropping, not only for this car, but man, we are going to get my freaking 2017 STI back on the road, and that's going to be incredibly fun and rewarding to look forward to. So if you guys are interested in seeing any of that, like I just said, make sure to subscribe, make sure to leave a comment telling me what topics you guys want to see, and if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to hit the like button. And as always guys, we will see each other on the next one.